Does this work? We back? Well, you guys have been here.
Oh, baby.
I was going to say, would you like to go away?
Yeah. We've been here. I've been.
No respite. No respite with the puppy. Zero respite. But back.
How are things with Buddy Garrity? Well, how was your week? What'd you do? What'd you get into?
What did I get into?
Yeah.
I got into a lot of 9:45 bedtimes and 5:50 wake-ups. And,
a nice mud pit?
It's gorgeous.
Look at the Hewlett
It's gorgeous.
family. It's beautiful.
Oh, fantastic. What wins? What wins? I'll tell you, the timing of taking little Buddy Garrity out, in his first few days in the household, to take him out on those 2 a.m. feels like 30 below. Not ideal.
Betty didn't enjoy that.
No.
Asa refused.
I liked it less.
Asa refused.
I don't blame her.
She just was like, not doing it.
I'll see you on down the
She's
road,
like,
Dad.
look, I'm going to pee outside. I'll give you that.
Fine.
Real quick, but I'm coming in, and I'm
That's
Asa. I'm little. I only poop in one spot in the house, so you're going to know where it is.
Yeah.
And you're going to find some.
That's it. That's how that's going to work, Dad.
And that's exactly how it worked. So then I put down a bunch of stuff there in that area. She went right on the stuff.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah. We can live with that. Can you believe that what we were dealing with a week ago to today? Today's 60. 100 degree feel like difference. Now, we have that out west. You get that because it comes out the Rocky Mountain front. So you get those incredible swings of 100 degrees change over the course of a certain amount of time. I've never had it here.
No.
30 below feel like 60 in a week.
Yeah. And they're going to play a game that's going to basically have that because it's going to be 63 in Washington.
In Washington, yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. You've lived your whole life, Gibby. You can't ever have had anything like this.
I can remember a couple of years ago we had a Christmas Eve. My good friend Keith Mazie actually had a hole-in-one playing with his grandfather and his father.
Yeah.
Like there was a Christmas Eve that was warm, but this swing is – but I was explaining it to someone the other day. Normally you get that first winter storm like the first week or second week in December. This was the first winter storm, so we're 3 weeks behind everything.
Yeah, which that doesn't make me feel
That
good about
doesn't
what's
bode
to
well.
come. Like I certainly remember Christmases like this where it was really warm.
Everything's
and,
brown.
Yeah, brown and warm, and you feel like you could talk yourself into playing golf on a sloppy, wet, gross place because why not? What else are we going to do?
Why not?
But I don't recall going from 30 below air temp to that.
I don't recall
How
ever
did
being
you
that
guys?
cold.
How did it go? I haven't spoken to you guys publicly, texting, but not publicly since. How did you guys handle the booth?
It was fine in the booth, honestly. We kept one window out in the middle, two in on the side, and every now and then you'd get a gust, and you'd be like, "Oh my God, it is freezing."
Jim did not have a window in front of him. Everybody else
He
had a
wanted
window, and we opened.
Yeah.
They had like little slits on either side to get the wires and the antennas out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gerard and Clay didn't have a great day.
No,
But
I mean that was Arctic.
I'll tell you what, and I don't know if it came across on TV, but the thing that stood out to me more than anything watching that game is it was like watching a football game, and I said this on the broadcast a couple times because it just struck me. It was like watching a football game in slow motion. Nobody was moving quickly. Receivers were like slow in their routes. Nobody could cut and accelerate. It was a game that was played very much in slow motion. People weren't sure of their footing. I guess the top of the field was all ice. It was an inch of ice. So nobody had footing. It was just a bizarre game to watch.
I'm going to tell you this. On
didn't feel like
television,
football.
it sucked.
Oh, it wasn't.
I mean, the performance was bad too, but I mean, just like aesthetically, it was brutal ball to watch.
Yeah.
And when I hear people say, "Oh, I love play," no, you don't. No, you don't. No, it's not good. It's not good ball. And the result wasn't there either. You get a chance to obviously. You guys have handled this through much of the week in terms of where we are now and what's going to happen here over the next couple of weeks. And from a health standpoint, that's the other big thing. We're seeing who's going to play, what's that going to look like as the week goes along. It feels like most of the news is good, or did I miss anything?
For us?
Yeah,
Good.
good. All good, ready to go. Yeah.
Clowney is not fully cleared from the concussion protocol yet, but practiced twice this week, and the expectation is that he will be. Wills is not, and he's the only person that's even on the injury report for us. For them, Antonio Gibson, their running back, is out. Brian Robinson will be the starter. Sadiq Charles, a backup tackle, is out, and James Smith-Williams, who has 3 sacks this season, had a sack last week against the Niners. He's out with a concussion as well. And then they've got a couple of their starters in their secondary. Cam Curl, the safety, Benjamin St. Juste, the corner, are both questionable.
So they are playing for their lives.
Yeah, there are scenarios in which they clinch the playoffs this week. And there are scenarios in which they are eliminated from the playoffs this week, but they must win this game. If they win this game, they're probably in because Dallas is not going to play its starters in the final game, most likely, as long as Philly wins this week. And so that would be probably a cakewalk for them. But they're a half game ahead of Seattle, Green Bay, and Detroit.
Yep.
So if they win, they being the Commanders, and all three of those teams lose, they're in. If they lose and the Packers and Lions win, and the Packers play Minnesota, tough game, Lions play Chicago, less tough, then Washington is out. Regardless of what Seattle does, Washington would be out because Green Bay and Detroit play each other in the Week 18 game, which means one of them must win.
Correct.
And so then Washington would be eliminated. So that's big stakes for them, and they've made a big switch at quarterback going from Tyler Heineke to Carson Wentz.
Yeah, it's interesting how there's been a lot going on this week. I mean, you had the Wentz, Heineke stuff. You had Derek Carr with the Raiders situation, which is just bonkers to think. Like, as you're putting something together and you trade for Devontae Adams in the offseason, and you think, well, let's try it. We're a pretty good team here. Got a nice little base. And then all of a sudden Josh McDaniels like, actually, no, I don't want any of this.
Yeah.
So, like, you'd think they'd put Devontae Adams right back on the block and sell him for 50 cents on the dollar, wouldn't you? What would be the point?
I don't know.
They're going to go right back in with another quarterback that
they must. They obviously think that they're
going
to.
Who are they going to lure?
Supposedly Tom Brady. They are the favorites to land Tom Brady next year in Las Vegas.
Sure.
He loves McDaniels.
Does he?
He can live in Vegas. He's single, Tom.
Yeah. I mean, what are you getting there at this point, though? Have you watched Tom lately?
I have.
It ain't great.
Not great. Yeah.
Not great. Even Collinsworth stupefied on the one-hop throw on the slant.
Yeah.
Like, you rarely get Collinsworth going at him a little bit. We had Thursday Night Football last night. Cowboys 27-13 win over Tennessee. Our guy Josh Dow, I thought he handled himself quite well in that spot.
Only been there for what, 8 days?
Not much.
If that?
Yeah. Yeah. So the Cowboys with a win there. I believe we had that yesterday on the scores.
More importantly,
that's right, we did.
Z's fantasy team is still in a position to win the championship because after the Titans benched a bunch of people,
including my own Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Hey, let's just take Derrick Henry out of the fantasy Super Bowl.
Why have him play? Super Bowl? No reason.
Don't need him.
Segura was beside himself yesterday.
Yeah, wasn't pleased.
Yet here we are. Zeke has 39 yards and a touch.
On like 100 carries.
Right.
It was great. I mean, it couldn't have gone better. I just wish he didn't get the touchdown. Then the kicker, 10 points for Maurer, honestly, is not a bad day. So I give 19 to their number one running back, their kicker. I'll take that all day. Feel good about that. So you're
still in the mix.
It's
interesting. Much. I visited with someone who is in the
Rut,
who's in the, what's this
league? The AFFL.
The FFL. And he shared Gibby and I's concerns with the fleecing that you did on Miz. And that there is a real issue here. And the one thing I did tell him is I said, it feels to me like this really falls at the feet of Mike more than it falls at the feet of you.
It was not a fleecing.
I mean, it was.
ETN, 15th round keeper.
Yeah.
They had just traded James Robinson.
Right.
Number one running back.
Right.
Goddard was the number 3 tight end.
There is a responsibility, I think.
To not trade with me?
No, to not give the keys to a championship to another team.
Look, by the way.
Because he wasn't going to win it with Etienne anyway. He's not going to win it
but
anyway.
He has a chance next year because he's going to have him as a 15th rounder next year. He's going to start.
So he's punted on this year to give you a dynasty program.
Listen, if I had Derrick Henry, I'd feel good about it. But how about this trade I made? I traded Ramondre.
Yeah.
I traded T. Higgins.
Yep.
And Dalton Schultz, who had 2 touchdowns last night, just for Derrick Henry, who didn't participate.
That's true.
Although he contributed to me getting here. He was very good last week.
Very good in that, yeah.
But there's Ruts won the league once. I think he won it the very first year of the league's existence. Not since, but he's won it. He won it. He said
good man.
Yeah, good man. Squad. He said they had a nice squad. They came in second in whatever that tournament was.
We played them.
Yeah,
we were. It was probably the worst we've ever played in the history of our lives. They were up 16-0.
That's what he said.
It was just put the most.
But you said they were able to play all a bunch of presses and stuff, and your squad has.
No, it wasn't that. It was they had a kid who's not normally on their team, who I think's their age though, who plays up normally. They played really well. Take nothing away. It was probably the worst we'd ever played, and they played really good. Yeah, he had a good weekend.
It's a bad recipe.
Sure. Yeah, it was. It was. You guys have good Christmases? Everybody
wins.
Everybody
It was great.
Wins?
It was awesome.
Yeah.
Got my kids back on Christmas Day. There we go.
Everyone's good?
Yeah, everybody's good.
No holiday plans disheveled by airlines which did not fly?
22 people at our house. His kids were delayed.
My kids were delayed. My kids were supposed to be back on Thursday and certainly be with me on Christmas Eve, and they did not get back until noon Christmas Day.
Just because flight cancellations.
Couldn't get out Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
You cannot. I saw somebody. It was on the social talking about how if you try to fly this time of year, you just have to understand it's not going to work. And I thought to myself, what other industry could do that?
Yeah.
To where the minimum expectation is, or no, the maximum expectation is, get there with your bags, not necessarily even on time.
Sure.
Like that's the maximum you can expect out of that industry right now.
The only time of year you really need to make sure that you're on top of your game.
It's pretty critical.
I mean,
can
you get it right for 1 week?
No, I would say there's probably 2 windows in the calendar year that you've got to be perfect in that industry: the holidays and spring break.
Yeah,
you have those 2 windows. That's the operation.
Yep.
Right. Everything else, you got some wiggle room, but those are finite windows that open and close, and you got to be on your game, man. Those have got to be it.
My brother-in-law and his wife slated to leave last Thursday for the Florida compound for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Flight gets canceled. They get put on another flight. It's overbooked. They get bumped. It's now moved to Saturday.
Yep.
Saturday can't get out because of the weather. They're now booked to Monday morning at 6 a.m.
That's joy.
They get there at 3 a.m. Flight's canceled. They said, screw it. We're hopping in a car. They drove straight through.
Oh, my God.
To South Florida.
There's one thing that said you got to be on your game. Southwest said we're not playing the game anymore. We're out of the game.
We're out of the game.
We've left the game.
We'll see you on down the road, boys. Good
Crazy.
luck. Wait, what?
Yeah, and then I read
You're not allowed to do that.
Well,
I wouldn't think. We went from if you think about when we were little kids, real little kids. You think about mid '80s, early '90s, that era. You went from a time you had 12 national carriers to like what do we have now? 4.
Delta, American,
United, Southwest, and then everything else is kind of regionally.
Yeah.
Right, but national, that's it. And you think about what you used to have with all of them.
Yeah.
U.S. Air, Northwest, all those.
Northwest.
I mean,
Yeah.
What was this?
Continental.
A hub for Continental hub.
Sure.
That's gone. So yeah, it's a brutal spot for that industry. So yeah, everything was good though. Other than that, we're not affected by the air travel at all. We were bunkered in. Everybody had a nice weekend. And we got a fun game for you here. We got Browns at Commies coming up this weekend. We'll get you set on that. We will guess the spread. Speaking of air travel, many of my buddies who were trying to head down to Atlanta for the national semifinal game tomorrow ended up just saying the hell with it and driving. Like, shut it down and drove.
But
wow.
None of the New Orleans media were able to make it up here for the game last Saturday.
Who tweeted that out? I saw a picture of our press box. There was nobody there from New Orleans.
New Orleans couldn't get out. They had one guy that made it as far as Florida to get north, and they couldn't get him in.
Jeez, brutal. Absolutely brutal on that. John Keim going to join us in the 2 o'clock hour. He's the best. He's a Buckeye too. He'll have plenty of thoughts on those type of things. We'll get you a little preview for the national semifinal tomorrow night between the Buckeyes and the Dogs, Michigan and TCU as well. Your game day forecast, your scores. Oh boy, we've got a real treat here. We got guess the spread, over unders, all of this.
It's all for Friday.
It's all here in one show. It's a pure joy.
And you're
Football
back.
Friday
it's glorious.
edition. It's great to be back. We're off and running. Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, coming soon to Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Well, the Bath Authority still gives you that bathroom of your dreams, kids. It'll transform your current bath into a custom bath. That spa-like experience that only the Bath Authority can provide. Let the Bath Authority make it real for you at a fraction of the cost of the competitors. The Bath Authority is our area's premier bath and shower remodeler, experts and factory-trained installers. You give them a call now, you get $500 off your next custom bath or shower remodel. That number is 216-220-8399, or go to thebathauthority.com. It's where affordability meets quality. The largest selection of bath projects are all made in the United States. Change your bathroom from outdated to outstanding. If you need an acrylic tub, well, why wouldn't you? They insulate and they keep the heat in. Tub-to-shower conversions as well. Superior products and expert installers at thebathauthority.com, 216-220-8399, and tell them that Beau sent you. Time for a little game we like to call Guess the Spread. All right, you ready for this? How do we do? Last week you killed
Let's
it.
go.
You're on such a heater.
I'm on a heater.
I think you got it.
What I want to do is if today's a heater, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but if today's a heater again, I want my challenge to be for the finale a half point.
So right now we're on a full point difference. You started out slow, but you've had Vegas's touch for more than a minute now. So, all right. Would you have had last night's that big?
Yeah, I did. We did it. I had 14.
And you nailed it.
Yeah, I said it's got to be at least 2
nailed
touchdowns.
it right on it.
So it ended up. So it was at one point at 12, then it ended up all the way at 14.
It was down 14. To 11, and I even saw one place had 10.5, and it jumped to 14 when the Titans decided to sit everybody.
What is the why did they do that?
Because it didn't matter. If they win next week against the Jags, they're in. They win the division.
So their thinking is get healthy, play one game, that's it.
That's it.
Have you guys?
And Dobbs, I thought looked good if they could catch the ball.
Yeah.
If they could catch the ball,
in week 17, I've never heard of that.
No, it's pretty wild to basically punt on 1 week to get to the next week healthy.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, it's weird going on right now from an injury, or not necessarily injury, but holding guys out standpoint. The same thing is happening on the college side with these bowls, because there's guys who are like Caleb Williams, for example, could play, but the Heisman Trophy winner, but he's banged up, and he's probably not going to play. They play a decent bowl game against Tulane, and he's not going to play in it. They've got like 4 starters, are all that's going to play in a bowl game. Like, it's just in the end, this is all that matters is television. I get it, but you have to also deliver a product.
Yeah.
That's part of it.
If I'm a network carrying that game, I'm not very pleased about what I'm carrying.
No, same. All right, here we go. We start with us at Commies. Browns at Commies.
Someone, by the way, last night was like, I ran into a friend of ours, and they're like, yeah, we know you don't like the Washington press box. You say it every day. I was like, I'm clear that I'm dreading this.
What is it you hate about it so much?
So the main press area and the press box, radio row, TV row, was moved to a corner under an overhang because the owner needed to take that area and make it his private suite.
I bet he did.
Yeah.
So, because I was going to say, it's an old enough stadium that initially it was probably great.
It is, yeah, correct.
Originally, I bet the press box was great there because they used to really take care of that stuff.
I mean, you were in a corner, and it's a mile to the other field goal post.
Okay. Yeah.
Worse than Miami.
Yes.
How could it be? I mean, Miami's as far as it could be.
You'll see. Guess you'll find out.
All right, us at the Commies.
Us at Commies.
That's got to be Commies -3.
Commies -2. Dub.
2-0.
Why aren't really?
Because
I feel like we're better than them. Come on.
They're saying that we are a point better than them on a neutral field.
Arizona at Atlanta. What a dumpster fire, Arizona. My God.
Atlanta -2.
Atlanta -3. Is that a Desmond Ridder?
Colt McCoy, he's back.
He's back.
DeAndre
Colt
Hopkins,
McCoy?
yes, very much so.
There's some garbage for you.
Oh, that's bad. That's bad ball. Bears at Lions as you try to go 3-0 out of the gates. Bears at Leos. The always frisky Justin
Lions
Fields.
-4.5.
Oh, just missed it. Lions -6.
Oh, shucks.
And that one. He's back to
6. That's big.
That is a bigger. That's one of the bigger numbers.
Yeah. Broncos at Chiefs.
Woo. Chiefs can't close anybody out.
Chiefs.
How about our boy Hackett doesn't make the year?
Of course not. He's dreadful. He should have gone.
Well, no, I know, but like him, Herbs, like there aren't that many guys who don't make it a year.
Yeah.
Like usually you get to the end.
Well, I don't know
They
what.
quit. That performance on Christmas almost cost me my
God.
fantasy title. Denver defense scored 0.
Yeah.
They obviously didn't want to play for me. That felt like a protest.
Yeah, and they're in the Russell Wilson business, brother.
Yeah.
So they're gonna.
He's got his
Jerry
own office.
Jeudy's
He's
defending
a made
him.
man.
I'm gonna take Kansas City.
Yep.
2 touchdowns, 14.
Oh, 12 and a half.
Oh, now we're in a losing streak.
No, we're not.
Two-game bender. 2-game bender.
Yesterday's, we're fine. We're doing just fine.
Dolphins at Patriots. Miami, for all their high-flying nature, now 8-7.
Theodore.
New England -3.
Got it. New England -2.5. Good job out of you. Indy at the Giants. Indianapolis. Is this a Nick Foles experience again?
I don't know. This is
Does it
dreadful.
matter?
That's a bad game. No, not really.
Giants -3.5.
Giants -5.5.
They don't like the Giants.
They hate
really
the Giants.
Hate
They really hate the Colts. Let's do guess the stats real quick. Can Saquon Barkley rushing yards?
I feel like he's over 1,000.
I think
like
he's fourth in the league.
1,089.
1,089.
I think he's 4th in the league.
1254.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Pretty
he's
good
behind.
for all the injuries
It's
and
Jacobs, Henry, Chubb, Saquon.
Saquon.
Is it worth extending him?
No, I mean I do like a Chubb extension with him or a Derrick Henry extension.
If
but
he
not,
balks at that,
you'll
goodbye.
never see a Zeke Elliott running back extension again. That's done.
Yeah.
That'll never happen again. And it almost feels like Jerry continues to give Zeke, and I love Zeke, but it's like he keeps forcing the carries just to validate
The other guy looked
the money.
better.
Pollard's looked better for
And
years.
the other guy last night,
the other
Michael
guy,
Davis,
Michael Davis, right?
who was in the backfield with Damian Pierce.
How about that?
Yeah.
Saints at Eagles. Saints at Eagles.
Philly -8.
Philly -6.5.
They must not be counting because they don't know
Hurts?
about Hurts.
He's playing, right?
I would think so.
I don't think it matters. Give me Minshew mania.
4-4. Goodness gracious. Okay.
Welcome back.
All right. Panthers at Bucks. 6-9 frisky Panthers at
Who
Bucks.
beat the Bucks earlier this year?
They did.
I still think Tampa -2.
Tampa -3.5.
What?
That's sad. Jaguars
So much for having to go to the half pointers.
at
At
Texans. Who, by the way, did you guys see this? Cal McNair, they're putting it to the fans. What do you want? They're redoing their uniforms. How do we sort it out? I don't know. Maybe Oiler colors. I know they can't use that exact blue, but just use some form of
get
baby
it.
blue and
Buy
red.
it from the Titans
Or just use
and
a
become the
slightly
Oilers
different
again.
shade of the blue.
Fine.
You know? Come on.
Jags at
Houston.
Jacksonville -4.
Got it. Right on the button. Nailed it.
That is a trap game if you're Jacksonville.
So
It
this
doesn't
game
matter
doesn't
to
mean
them.
anything to Jacksonville.
I was going to say, does it mean
No.
anything to them?
No.
Means nothing. So
Nothing.
win or lose, meaningless.
Yep.
So
Wow. That's great. That's wild.
unless something changes, I'd have to think that Sunday Night Football final regular season game of the year is Titans-Jags. Winner
Well,
get in, loser out. Unless there's something, unless the Packers are playing.
Well, the Packers play the Leos, and you also have Cincinnati and Baltimore, which is box office.
Yeah, but they're already in the playoffs. NBC likes that win and in, lose and out.
Yeah. The only thing with Cincinnati would be if they could still get the
Number one.
Which that only way that would be the case is if Kansas City loses this week, and they're not losing.
By the way, next weekend, everything's TBD. There are a number of scenarios. There are games next Saturday.
He keeps wanting us to play on Saturday. Nobody wants that, Gibby. Stop talking about it. Oh,
I'm just telling you that Saturday game is an
Listen,
option.
if the
for
Ravens
National
go beat the
Football
Steelers, that's done.
Nobody wants that. Keeps talking about.
Stop talking about it.
I'm just telling you that it's a legit possibility.
It's a real possibility. 49ers.
I'll accept your apologies. Go back to being under 500 today.
Well, I'm
team
not.
of
I'm
your
500.
The team of your youth versus the Vegas Raiders.
Niners at Vegas.
Niners at Vegas.
Niners -10.
Yeah, Niners -9.5. I don't know what the number would be on that would make me not take the 49ers. They cover every week.
Yeah.
Jets.
I think I have to reverse curse it and just kill you with kindness because when you needle
it would be great if
he recoils. He's
kindness would be wonderful. It would be appreciated.
Jets at Seahawks. Jets at Seahawks. It's amazing who's quarterbacking some of these teams, isn't it?
Mike White against Geno Smith in the Geno Smith revenge game.
Jeez.
I think it's going to be Seahawks -2.
Jets -1.5. Odd.
Didn't have that.
Vikings at Packers. Vikings at Packers.
Big one.
Huge.
Minnesota, I feel like should be favored, but Vegas doesn't like them as much as they are. So I'm going to say Packers -2.5.
Got it. Packers -3.
All right.
Good job out of you. Rammies at Chargers.
Ooh, the battle for Los
Chargers
Angeles.
-7.
Got it. Chargers -6.5.
All right. Guaranteed a winning week.
Bake was good.
Against the Denver Broncos, darn good.
Darn good.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh at Baltimore.
Sunday Night Football.
It's Baltimore, gentlemen. Is Lamar going to play ever?
I don't think he's trending like no again.
No, he's not going to play.
He's done.
I'm going to call this a rare pick'em.
Oh, Baltimore. No, sorry. Baltimore -2.5.
What?
Baltimore -2.5.
Yeah, I need to get this game for
this is
9-7.
Yep, that'll get it for you. Bills at Bengals. That's a good Monday nighter.
Buffalo. Oh man, I don't even know who should be favored. It's going to be 3, but I don't know which way. I'm going to take Bengals at home being favored. Bengals -2.
I had Bengals -1.5.
Buffalo -1.5. Why is that? Even Steven this week. Why is Cincinnati not favored?
Does suck.
I don't know because
they haven't lost in how long? They've won 7 in a row?
8 in a row? One of those two.
Yeah.
The 49ers and the Bengals, two hottest teams in the league.
Yeah. I mean they've played good teams. They beat the Chiefs at home by 3. I don't know. It's weird that they wouldn't be favored at home. Very strange. Good job out of you on that. We've got big games on Saturday as well. College
Happy
football
New
playoff.
Year's Eve. Can we stop putting this stuff on New Year's Eve?
So
They're going to lose
stupid.
10 million eyeballs, I read, because these games are on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, and then they did the other thing that I think it would be fine if they did it earlier.
Sure.
You know, it's a Saturday, so play a game at 1 and a game at 4, but like the Buckeye game at 8 o'clock is just nonsense.
It's going to end at 2
12,
in the morning.
20. Yeah, it's going to be brutal. I think Michigan will be just fine in their game. I don't know if they'll cover the 7.5. I think Ohio State, it's really uphill for them. What I would say is Ryan Day and C.J. Stroud referendum game for both. Like if C.J. is, I don't love him coming out compared to the way I liked Fields. He's going to have to be great. He's going to have to be a first-round pick quarterback.
Who do you like better, him or Haskins?
I liked Haskins.
You liked Haskins
more.
better. Yeah.
I thought Haskins was more of a gamer.
Yeah.
I thought he had a bigger arm. Haskins' situation's pretty brutal. You go to Washington. Sometimes you can be undone by circumstances. Not to say that he was going to be a foolproof quarterback anyway. But one of the criticisms of Haskins coming out was that guys are always Ohio State open. C.J. Stroud in 2 years will not throw it unless you are Ohio State open. Like he will hold it until you are. He's going to have to trust what he sees. He's going to have to run it when the opportunity is there. Georgia's not some juggernaut, though. They don't have a ton of NFL guys on the offensive side of things. They got Jalen Carter on the defensive line, who's great. But they're not some juggernaut. But basically, they just beat you slowly is what they do. Yeah, it's just a kind of a machine. They just kind of churn you out, wait for you to make a mistake. So I think there will be big plays to be had in the passing game, and I think Ohio State's going to have to play that way. They're going to have to play footloose and fancy-free, spin the ball down the field. They've got advantages with the 2 receivers, and they've got an NFL quarterback. They've got to take advantage of that and play unburdened. They played very burdened against Michigan.
Even though they lost to the Buckeyes.
Yeah.
I mean, even though they lost to Michigan, the Buckeyes did. Do you feel like they are the biggest threat to Georgia?
For sure. They're the second most talented team in the whole operation.
Okay.
And they have, like, if you were to say what does it take to beat Georgia, you would say give me a pro quarterback and give me pro receivers. The last team to beat Georgia was Alabama with Bryce Young and Jamison Williams.
Yeah.
That's how they beat them, by spinning it.
Yep.
That's the way to do it. Like, you can't – you're not going to run it on them. You know, Michigan's approach trying to run it, they're just Michigan on steroids. So they're mirrors of each other. They're just much better.
Yeah.
So Ohio State does possess some of the things that should allow for them to do it. For Georgia, the crown would be theirs. I mean, they would throw Saban to the wind and say we're the best preeminent program in college football if they can pull it off. And typically when you lose like this in college football, like Ohio State did to Michigan, you don't get a chance at redemption this quickly. Normally you wait a year. You wait 8 months. They lost to Michigan in the most brutal way and now have a chance to make it right.
Yeah.
In a hurry. So that's very, very good. I don't think they will, though. I think they'll play well. I think it'll be a 4-quarter game, but I think Georgia will win. So I got Georgia and Michigan in the final. I don't know if Georgia will cover. I think it's 6.5.
Okay.
We'll see. All right, coming up next, we hit the over-unders. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet. Coming soon to Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Well, there's a new way to cheer on your Cleveland Browns with the help of your favorite four-legged companion. Barking Backers, presented by Milk Bones, the Browns' newest club for pet parents worldwide. Sign up today at barkingbackers.com. Barking Backers, the fan club for dogs. You were Gibby, you were mentioning in the break the Bears and Kevin Warren.
Yes, I wanted to get your take on this since obviously
the
Big Ten commissioner being rumored to go to the Bears, and
he was, I think, viewed by most of the constituency around the Big Ten as wildly incompetent. He almost bankrupted an entire year of football by bailing on it when it didn't need to be bailed on, and then hoping others would follow, and then nobody followed. And then the SEC played in the pandemic. And honestly, if it wasn't for Justin Fields, and I think he deserves the credit almost singularly. There's other institutions that were helpful, Nebraska, Penn State, but he had the biggest platform, and Justin Fields pleaded for a season. And that's how they played 5 games that year. Everybody else played 10, but they played 5. The other thing, he was completely silent on all of it. He was never available during any of it. He never justified his decisions. He had the initial press conference, then he didn't have another one for months. He should get no credit for whatever the Big Ten gets from a television standpoint. He had nothing to do with any of that. That was going to be there no matter what. They had the inventory. For the way I understand it, the USC-UCLA expansion was something that was pushed by a couple of athletic directors and school presidents, and one of them being the athletic director at Ohio State was integral in that. A former understudy of his is the current athletic director at UCLA, Martin Jamon. So that is how a lot of that stuff started to happen. I don't think he was – to me, it's a pretty classic Bears-y move to do it. I think he's pretty there was nothing he did as Big Ten commissioner that you're like, oh, boy, crushed
Got to have this guy.
Got to get that guy to run operations.
Yeah.
I didn't see it at all.
Not great.
No, not at all. All right, time for some over-unders, gentlemen.
I love these loaded Friday shows.
Yeah, there's a lot going on here, man.
Yeah.
So, I got to tell you, I was the over-under committee, and I understand that I am the face and the voice of that committee.
You are the committee. It's like when Ric Flair came back and said that there was a consortium, as he called it, a consortium to buy the WWE, and he goes, "The consortium was me," and then he took over part of the WWE during the invasion.
I love it. Yeah, the consortium. Yeah, so the over-unders consortium, I will acknowledge, we were flummoxed.
Flummoxed, great word.
By
good words today.
Befuddled.
Befuddled would be another one. By what to make of last week.
Yeah.
The conditions, what it was going to look like, how brutal it was. And I remember even doing the show saying, in my head, I don't even know how they're going to operate. And I think we said it on that show, the last show that I did before the break, where it was I had no idea how you would even be able to throw a football physically. It felt like it was impossible based on taking the dog out to go to the bathroom, thinking like you could actually throw a ball in those conditions. So the over-unders were not at their best, and you guys
I think they
feasted.
were great.
Just feasted. We have never had, up until this point, we have never had over-unders that have been this hard for everyone to sort out, where everyone's kind of teetering around 500, and then last week it was just the dam broke. So you guys crushed it. Zagura with a 4-1 week. Good job to you.
Thank you.
Gibbe with a 4-1 week. Good job to you.
Gibbe.
The Hoff.
Oh, baby.
A perfect 5-0.
Oh.
The Hoff
Really?
went 5-0. So, with 2 weeks remaining, Gibbe is 37-38 on the year. The Hoff 39-36, and Dr. Z, a robust 40-35.
Okay, baby.
There you go.
There it is. Robust.
I would also say that prognosticating how these games are going to look at this time of the year, very difficult.
Very difficult. Sad part is with the inclusion of the Hoff into over-unders and us not knowing his answers, I can't even play a little...
Can't play off him.
I can't play a little matchy.
Maybe the final one, we'll have a live call-in from the Hoff, if it is indeed a one-game swap.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, I find this with the picking of the bowl games. We'll see how the scores go. You just don't know what teams are going to be motivated, who's going to be playing, and what it's going to look like, and then what the intent of the coaches are on those individual teams. So we will start here, as we have for much of the season. I am looking for a total yardage number here. A total yardage number for one Nicholas Chubb. Nicholas Jamal Chubb. That total yardage number for Nick Chubb is 120.5. Zagura. Dr. Z, 120.5.
Running backs against Washington this year averaging 79 yards per game, 4 yards a carry, no 100-yard rushers in 10 straight.
Oh, my God. Good
the
God
last
almighty.
was Derrick Henry in Week 5. Chubb has not rushed for 100 yards in 4 straight. He doesn't
Total yards, though.
86 yards to pass, but he's not giving
You're not getting much out of the pass.
No, on the season, he's got 187 yards receiving in
not much.
14 games. So, or what, 15? Yeah.
Yep.
15 games? We got 2 to go. 6 and 9. Yeah, 15
Sure.
games. So
2 to go.
yeah, I'm gonna unfortunately I'm gonna take an under on this one, but some things to watch out for Nick Chubb in this game. Next touchdown's a career high 13th, and if he gets 86 yards, he'll pass Derrick Henry, who was inactive last week, for second in the NFL. Now, there's been a lot of talk this week about wanting Nick Chubb to win the rushing title, which will be, I think, a challenge at this point. He's down what?
Well, are you sure Josh Jacobs is going to play again? You saw his press conference.
It sounds like he's done with the Raiders. Period.
So he may not. He might just say the hell with it. I'm out.
What did he say exactly? Because I don't remember.
I don't know. I don't have the exact quote, but it was, "I'm sick of it. I'm not going to take it anymore. I'm done with this place." Is the paraphrase.
And then they scapegoat Carr.
Correct.
Who hasn't been great, but certainly they've blown 4 14-point leagues. How's that?
I just think it's a weird thing to blow Carr out now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now you've alienated
He's been a good
your
servant.
star wide
And everything.
receiver.
This is what I don't understand: is everything on his contract becomes guaranteed February 10th. So they'd have to cut him, right? You can't make a trade. That's still this season,
Right.
Yeah, Super Bowl's the 12th.
and then but the league year isn't until the day like that free agency starts.
Yeah.
So they're either going to cut him or else they're going to have to try and.
They can't trade him.
You can't. He's
Can
untradeable.
maybe you can reach an agreement in principle,
like a buyout.
I don't know.
Yeah, I
have
don't know.
no idea what's going to happen. Sounds like they're going to have to cut him.
Yeah. Gibbe. Nick Chubb.
I'm going to say under. I do think he ends up with 100 yards rushing, though. I think he ends up just under this.
120.5.
Total yards. Yep. 120.
Over or under?
Receiving yards, Gibbe, for you. Amari and the Chief. Over under McLaurin and Samuels.
Over. 59 degrees and sunny tells me.
Spin it.
We're going to see a little something, hopefully.
It'd be nice.
I think tight ends where you can get him. Kittle had 6 for 120 and 2 touchdowns last week. They're very tough on receivers, though. They have not had a receiver go over 100 yards in 6 straight games. Justin Jefferson was the last one to do it.
He's good.
I mean, you look at who are the people that have put up numbers. The last 300-yard quarterback was week 3, so 11 games ago, Jalen Hurts. The last 100-yard rusher was 10 games ago. That was Derrick Henry. And the last 100-yard receiver was 6 games ago, Justin Jefferson.
Yeah. Dudes get him, and that's about it.
That's about it. McLaurin is a monster. If it was McLaurin and Dotson, I think I would take McLaurin and Dotson, but because it's Curtis Samuel, and he does do better with Wentz. He averages over 5 catches a game with Carson Wentz. McLaurin 70. I like our secondary. I think they're going to run a lot with Brian Robinson, so I say advantage us, Namari and Njoku.
Next.
Over or under?
Total yards, you mentioned 60 and what should be a very nice day. Total yards accounted for Deshaun Watson. We've been under on all of these. Yeah, he's been under on all of these anytime we've done it. We've done yardage, we've done quarterback rating, we've done all sorts of things. We're going to go total yards, and we're going to go 265.5, Zagura. Total yards, Deshaun Watson, 265.5.
Oof, that's a tough one. It's a tough one. There have been
The consortium did a good job on this.
Consortium much tougher. Just for Gibbe, for your benefit of your information, there has been one quarterback who's thrown for 250 yards in the last 12 games against Washington. I'm going to go under.
Under.
Which makes it very difficult for. I don't think I can lose both Watson under and Amari and Njoku, but I think it could be a difficult scenario to win both of those as well.
I got you. Yes, I would
This
agree.
is total yards for him.
Total yards, rush pass.
Over. Let's go.
Next.
Because I can't have Chubb
Over
under and him
or
under.
under.
That is a recipe that we don't want.
Well, it's a recipe for losses.
Well,
it's a recipe for
you
6 and
said
10, Coach. Sacks and turnovers
Hey,
You know what?
great.
with Carson
You know what?
Wentz.
I'm going over.
All right.
You didn't even say the number.
Over Watson. No, I'm going over Watson. I'm
Sacks.
with you. What you just said made a lot of sense. I want us to win. If they're both under, it doesn't feel likely.
Sacks and turnovers, the number we're looking for is 3.5. 3.5. This one is to Gibbe.
Miles
You
has
missed
had
this
big
last week,
games.
too. You have not gotten this one right all year. I actually went back and looked. Not once. That's amazing how you have. Like just the law of averages.
Yeah, no
You
matter
know, You
what.
churn it once. No.
I'm going over. Miles has had some big days against this franchise.
I'm going over too. Wentz was sacked 3 or more times in 4 of his
Wentz
6
sucks.
starts.
He does
Sacked
suck,
23 times in 6 starts. And we have an interception in 4 straight games.
Yeah. Next.
Over or under.
The actual 41.5, Z.
Feels low. I'm going over.
Give
Did you
it.
say 41 and a half?
41.5.
Over.
All right.
Yeah, over. That's. There's going to be some scoring here. Weather's nice. It's supposed to rain tomorrow, but Tarp will be on the field all day. I feel like we'll have a fast track on Sunday.
All right. Very good. And those were your over and unders. Coming up next, behind enemy lines, John Keim, one of the best ESPN NFL Nation reporter. He will join us. You'll see Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, coming soon to Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. In Rumpke Waste Recycling, family-owned and operated. Whether you join them as a customer as an employee, you'll become part of the family. Visit rumpke.com to learn more. Now we head behind enemy lines with ESPN's NFL Nation Commanders reporter. He's John Keim on the Twisted Tea Hotline, brought to you by Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. He is a Buckeye born and bred. I guess before we get to our game, how do you feel about tomorrow, Johnny?
Oh, man. I wish I felt a lot better. There's still a sour taste in the mouth from a week ago.
Yeah.
But I've always believed there's a path to winning or beating any team, and I think that exists here. And hopefully playing indoors makes a difference, and they can throw it around a little bit. But, man, that secondary's got to show up.
Yeah. That's an astute. I like this is a true Buckeye fan here, bringing the indoors. C.J. Stroud's never played indoors. Marvin Harrison Jr.'s never played indoors. Like, the offense was built to play in these conditions, in these type of games. So if anybody can get them, this would maybe be the team that could.
Yep, I'm there. Listen, I mean, you go into any game, and they had it going a few weeks ago, and something happened. Make some tackles on 3rd and 8 on a pass, and you're probably good to go.
So in terms of the team you make your living covering and, of course, talking about on the John Keim Report, pretty quiet season for you, right? No big news over there?
Quiet last couple of years, no doubt, yeah. No, it's at least now we're talking well, not always, but mostly about football. So that's been a nice change that it's focused mostly on the field. So kind of welcome that.
Well, speaking of on the field, a big change was made. Ron Rivera saying they needed a spark on offense. They go to Wentz, who was 2-4 as a starter, benching Heineke, who was 5-3-1 this season. In a game where it was funny, I watched that game in our preparation for this one, and it's not like Heineke was bad. 13-18, 166, 2 touchdowns. Yeah, he had that kind of weird interception, lost a fumble, but it was a kind of they had a goal line stand where they couldn't run it in at the 1-yard line. That's not on him. It's just interesting. But what did you think of that decision, and why was it made, and why now?
I wasn't surprised at all because I know that they've been thinking about this, or at least thinking about when would be the optimal time to go back to Wentz or under what conditions. And I think if they had, you're right, Heineke certainly was not bad. I mean, we've seen a lot worse quarterback play in the NFL, but they just haven't produced in the red zone. And I know, so it wasn't just about the other day. It's been really about how it's gone for him during his entire time starting, and that has been an area of concern. And like they were, I think during his 8 full starts, they were like 13th in terms of total yards, but like I think it was 25th or 27th in red zone efficiency, and 25th or 27th on 3rd downs. So that's a big reason why. And I think the other part is that they feel like they have this run game going well now, and you have this potentially explosive receiving crew with McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, Jahan Dotson, and they're not taking advantage of it enough. And so you put in the stronger arm Wentz and get some play action throws off of this run game, and can you get more explosive plays? And so I think that's also what they're looking for, because Rivera said he's looking for a spark, but that's where you can get it, is on the chunk plays.
Well, if you look at the one thing that Wentz actually did well this year on passes of more than 20 yards in the air, 40% completions, 15 yards and attempt 4 touchdowns, a 113 rating, which was his best at any level of the field. And so that makes sense. Dotson, as you said, it is an explosive team with Dotson, with Samuel, with McLaurin, Logan Thomas, and then Brian Robinson out of the backfield, no Gibson. What has Robinson done? Incredible story, right? Drafted, shot in a carjacking, doesn't come back till week 5, but has over 100 total yards in 3 of the last 4.
Yeah, he's been very good since over the last month or so, and a lot of it is just you see the confidence, I think, with which he's running, and that comes, I think, from knowing what you're supposed to be doing. And early on, you did not see it as much. Like you'd see it in snippets, but you're not seeing the whole package. And I think you're starting to see it now. The vision is a little bit better, but I think he has a little bit more pop to the outside. He's not a burner. He's not ripping off 60 and 70-yard runs, but he does have the ability to get that consistent power game going inside off their inside zone or duo, the stuff they like, the power game inside, and he's good at creating yards after contact, and he will. So he's not Nick Chubb, but he is a guy that has helped them. And I think this team would have been further along had that incident not happened, because I think early on you probably win maybe another game or two, and put yourself in a better spot, because they felt going into this year that they were going to use him as their primary runner and, relying on that power game and then playing off that with play action. And it's what that's what they're doing now, or want to do now.
John, I want to bring you back to Wentz for a second. The Heineke-Wentz, like the stat lines are almost mirrors of each other in terms of what they brought in terms of statistically, but they go about it very differently. What is it about Wentz that people see that make them want to continue, give him chances? And then have you seen the other side of it that makes him run out of places? What is that about him that makes him that unique in those ways?
Well, first of all, you see the size. I mean, he's 6'4", 6'5", big arm, and used to be mobile. He's not anymore, but used to be. But it's the big arm and the size. I mean, that's what they saw too, and it's why they traded for him and last year. And the ability for them, and I think for this team last year, they were kind of in a perfect storm to go get a guy like that who others may not want, or certainly not at that price, because they tried for Russell Wilson, struck out. And so they wanted to upgrade at the position, and there weren't a lot of great options. They weren't going to trade for Deshaun, even though they did talk about it. They weren't going to trade for him. And I'm not sure he would have gone here, but they weren't going to do that. And they tried for other guys, and they ended up with Carson because they felt like, okay, he's an upgrade. But what you notice is they didn't extend him, and his last 2 years in his contract are not guaranteed, so they could cut him with no penalty other than 1 year of cap space and then 2 draft picks. So while they saw that, they weren't sold enough to go beyond that. And I think that's because you also see the other stuff, which is the inaccuracy and the lack of mobility. And you saw that in his first 6 starts. And it was compounded by the fact that he wasn't as familiar with this offense. So if he held the ball even a little bit longer, it could result in problems. And, that's the stuff that you definitely see. And the inaccuracy, I mean, we're watching red zone drills today, and he's throwing behind Logan Thomas, and he's airmailing one over Terry McLaurin's head. And so you see that as well in practice. But the big arm and the size, that's always going to be enticing. I mean, he's essentially like a left-handed pitcher in baseball who throws hard. You're going to give him a chance, and maybe he'll do it. And he's capable of big games. I mean, he's still capable of that.
Oh, yeah. What's the concern level? And you kind of alluded to it, but 23 sacks in 6 starts. He was sacked 3 times or more in 4 of his 6 games there. He got sacked 9 times earlier this year, I think against his former team, the Philadelphia Eagles, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
What's the concern level with that relative to Heineke, who was sacked 19 times really in 8 games?
Right, and Taylor's mobility definitely helped there. I also think his familiarity with the offense helped because he could get rid of the ball. There were a couple games where and I even wrote a story about this several weeks ago about here are 4 or 5 throws that highlight what his familiarity with the offense meant on these throws. And if you hold the ball, if you don't throw on the hitch, you hit your plan step, hitch, go. If you don't throw it, then you're sacked. It's a sack fumble, and instead it's a 20-yard completion on a key drive. There were a number of plays like that. So that's where he helped himself, and that's where they hope that Wentz has improved. And one thing they've talked a lot about and I've heard this over the last several weeks, is that behind the scenes, Carson is really he's grown more comfortable in this offense, and in where to go with the ball, what to do against certain looks, and they saw some of that against San Francisco. Now, the game, he played 2 drives, and the first drive was a touchdown drive, and he made it cut it to 30-20, and they missed a 2-point conversion, so it could have cut it to a 1-score game in the fourth quarter. And on that drive, the Niners blitzed them. They were blitzing them, and what they liked is that when they blitzed, he would know where to get rid of the ball right away. So they're hoping that that's a sign that area has improved. I think the other thing that they hope helps him is the emphasis on the run game. They hope puts him in a better spot to not you don't have to drop back on 1st and 10 all the time to try and generate something. You can get 2nd and 6, 2nd and 5, sure, and put him in a better spot against the pass rush. But having said that, their tackles haven't been great, and the Browns have a couple of good pass rushers at the end. So, he's going to have to get rid of the ball quick, and they better hope that his familiarity has really improved.
Talking to a great friend of the program, John Keim, ESPN NFL Nation reporter on the Commanders side of things. Check out his podcast, The John Keim Report, wherever you get your podcast. We talked a lot about the offense. The defense, though, is really what carries this team, and they've been downright dominant for a lot of the season. Chase Young was back last week. How did he look in the first game out? Obviously didn't fill up the stat sheet, but in terms of watching just his movement and such, how did he look, and what type of boost does he give him?
He gives him a big boost. And early on in that game, they said they were going to play him 12 to 16 snaps. And a lot of that was, they said that for about a month. And some of that was stemmed from like, well, what kind of shape is he going to be in once he gets in there? But he took a while for him to get back, that his conditioning had improved. But some of that too was almost like a mental out for him, that if you're not feeling it after that time, take you out. And that's what we said we would do, right? Well, so early on, he was a little bit tentative, where you didn't see him getting into plays the way he normally would. If the play was away from him, you just kind of saw him lingering, hanging back a little bit more. And then he made one or two plays, and you started to see the old Chase Young come back, where get after the quarterback, ball thrown, get back in the play. And he had a couple good pass rushes against Trent Williams, where I was a little bit surprised at how the success he had on that. He didn't get to the quarterback, but it was a good pass rush. And he had a couple of those where Williams needed inside help to stop him. And so I think that was a good sign for them. He will start Sunday, because the other guy who had been starting, James Williams, will be out with a concussion. So Young will start, and it's a big boost. He's a very energetic guy. I mean, people watch him in college there. They know what he's like, what he's about. I think the other encouraging sign for them was not just the success, but how he was rushing, because last year he was almost trying to be at times a little bit too finesse. He's got to be a violent pass rusher. He's got quickness off the ball, but when he combines a quickness and doesn't stutter step and then uses those hands, he can really stun tackles. So they did see some of that, and I think they were very encouraged by what they saw. So I think going forward, they kind of hope that he can build on that and maybe make a play or two that changes the game.
I was talking to a couple of our coaches, and some of our players said this is the best defensive tackle tandem in the league. Allen going to the Pro Bowl second straight year. Payne, 9.5 sacks, a career high. They've been a two-man wrecking crew, 16 tackles for loss each. How do they kind of blossomed like this together? Not to say they were ever bad before, but it really feels like both of them are playing at an unbelievable level.
Well, Payne is kind of matched where Allen is at, and Allen was really good last year, and Daron Payne has taken a big step this year, and because he became more of a pass rusher, and he became more of a pass rusher within the context of the defense. Last year, that group was at times could be very good, but more so individually than collectively. And this year, it's more collective than individual, but within that, Payne has been very good at rushing the passer. It's basically get upfield. It's not hold the block and let the linebackers make the play. It's get upfield, and they've been doing that. And so, like that, I think that's it. Payne's also a free agent, so sometimes things sometimes there's a coincidence there, right?
Yep.
But I think that has helped him because he knows what awaits him if he has the kind of year he's had, and so they've been very, very good. And I think what Allen's success last year has helped Payne just in the sense too that Allen's gonna command more double teams now, and that's gonna free up Payne. If you leave him one-on-one, he's really hard to defend and to block. So that'll be a challenge. Like, he'll probably go against Wyatt Teller a lot, and that will be a challenge. It'll be a fun matchup. And Bitonio and Allen will be a great matchup. So it's actually, if you like football, you want to kind of geek out on football, like, that's a really good matchup inside for Sunday.
You're exactly right about that. And, it's amazing. You kind of look at it, only one 300-yard passer all season, allowed 198.6 yards per game, seventh best in the league. And all the guys up front are first-rounders, but you go through the back end, it's a couple of third-rounders, a fifth-rounder, a seventh-rounder, another fifth-rounder of the principal defensive backs, and yet they've played very well. Forced 4 interceptions. My question is, how has this back end been so good? And two, what can you tell us about Cam Curl and St. Juice availability, given that they're both questionable and Curl missed last week?
Yeah, St. Juice is out, so he's not going to play, and that's a loss because a guy like Amari Cooper can hurt them, and I think he would, even if St. Juice played, Cooper would hurt him because he's got this ankle injury that's hard to change directions, and the way Cooper runs routes, like I think it'd be tough to play against him with that. I think Cam Curl will play, and that's a huge plus for them because when he's not out there, he's a huge loss for them. And it's as much because he's a very smart player, but also because, like, tight ends. Last week they got hurt a lot by George Kittle.
Yeah.
And you throw – if you go out without Cam Curl this Sunday against Njoku, like, that's a problem. And so I think that's where they feel good with that. I do think the secondary will be tested this week because, first of all, the weather's going to be good. So, I think for those in that building that want to throw the ball, I think it will be a good day to throw the ball. So, and you have talent there that can do that. But I wouldn't be shocked if they're able to hit a few things on them just because they have talent. I think Washington is banged up in the secondary. It's not like they're without St. Juste. They don't have a great corner. Kendall Fuller's a veteran, but he's not like a fringe Pro Bowl guy or anything like that. So there's a way to combat to combat the secondary certainly. And Forrest is a smart player too. Cincinnati kid, played at UC, but he's been I think a pleasant find for them. And the combination, they use a lot of free safety looks. Their third safety, Bobby McCain, plays down the slot a lot. So it's a versatile group. But without St. Juste, there's a loss there. And if Cam Curl isn't 100%, I'd be curious to see how they attack him.
John, get you out of here on this one. Thank you so much for your time. Off the field, from an ownership switch standpoint in the sale of the franchise, who's the ideal owner, or maybe what is the ideal type of owner for this franchise at this moment?
A good one? I don't know. Like, I think I would say somebody, because whoever comes in for the fan base is going to be viewed as an improvement.
Sure.
And so I think somebody who can honestly, like, whoever comes in will have a better chance of getting the team back down in the district to build a stadium.
Yeah.
So like the fans would love it if they can build a stadium at the old RFK site. And I think Dan Snyder's a huge hindrance to that effort now. It will not happen as long as he's an owner. The minute somebody new comes in, the chance of it going down there increased dramatically. So, and then I think just somebody who understands what this fan base has been through, which is a lot. I mean, Browns fans can certainly identify with that. And so, I would say spend, but like Snyder came in spending money and it didn't do anything. So build an organization the right way. Come in with a credo. Like the thing when Snyder came in, there was never like some sort of, this is what I believe in as an organization. It was always like, well, this didn't work. Well, let's try that. And that stuff doesn't fly. And so, somebody who knows how to manage or run an organization will be welcomed. And I think that was a massive downfall for Snyder, is that just with all the other stuff, all the personal stuff, it was an inability to understand how to run an organization, who you need to hire, what kind of people you need to hire. And I think, I'd look at the Indians, the Guardians.
Yeah.
And just, you look at why are they good? Well, because you hired the right people, and yes, you wanted to spend more, but they have a really good organization. You hired the right people, you let them work. And that's what they did under Jack and Cook during the Gibbs era, and they won. So someone like that.
Great stuff. Always appreciate your time, John. Thanks so much for giving us a little bit of it today.
My pleasure, guys. Thanks for having me on, as always.
All right, that's John Keim. Twisted Tea Hotline brought to you by Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea, official sponsor of your Cleveland Browns. Keep it twisted, Cleveland. Be sure to check out his podcast, The John Keim Report, wherever you get your podcast.
A little bit of NFL news. Cardinals quarterback Colt McCoy experienced more concussion symptoms and is out Sunday against Atlanta. Cardinals quarterback David Blau, former Cleveland Brown, will get the start.
Where's McSorley got hurt in that game? He played. He finished.
He was awful.
Sure. But I guess that's where you're at. So now
and
Boy, it's like the old Big Ten.
Playing for the draft pick.
McSorley and Blau. Blau, the former Purdue quarterback, and McSorley, the former Penn Stater.
And DeAndre Hopkins has developed a knee issue.
I'm sure he has.
Against left practice, and his status is now up in the air. My team falling apart right here in the finals. No Derrick Henry. No Hopkins. Christian Watson is hurt as well.
Fantasy God saying you've screwed people for the last time.
You've taken advantage of these poor people. in the AFL
This
for
is
far too long.
outrageous.
It's outrageous. Nothing quite like tailgating touchdowns and Twisted Tea. It tastes just like real iced tea. You know why? Because it's made with real brewed tea, cool, refreshing, and a 5% kick of alcohol.
Davis. I'm gonna have to go
It's
back to
thirst
Gabe
down
Davis.
and goal. Boy, that's a risky one. Twisted Tea, hard iced tea. Keep it twisted. Kids, your keys to victory and your game day forecast coming up next. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Well, the Bath Authority gives you that bathroom of your dreams, kids. Why not transform your current bathroom into a custom bath? Feel like a spa. It's a win for everybody. Let the Bath Authority make it real for you at a fraction of the cost of the competitors. The Bath Authority is our area's premier bath and shower remodeler, expert and factory-trained installers. You give them a call now, $500 off your next custom bath or shower remodel. The number there is 216-220-8399 or go to bathauthority.com. It's where affordability meets quality. The largest selection of bath projects are all made in the United States. Change your bathroom from outdated to outstanding. Acrylic tubs that insulate and keep the heat in, tub to shower conversions as well. Superior products with expert installers at 216-220-8399 or thebathauthority.com. Time for your game day forecast brought to you by Carrier, partner of the Cleveland Browns. Partly sunny, temperatures in the high 50s for that 1 p.m. kickoff in Landover. That's nice, right?
That is nice.
Should be able to live a little bit, play real football.
Yeah, play real football. Let's go.
I like it. For your keys to victory, Dr. Z.
All right. Look, it starts always, and the number one key will always be, especially with this team this year, it's going to be taking care of the football on offense, taking away the football on defense. Browns still 4-0 this year when they won the turnover battle. What does that mean when they are neutral or have lost a turnover battle? Well, they're 2-9. So I would say that's pretty important to get that done. So that's one thing that I definitely want to see in this game for the Cleveland Browns. Number 2, we have got to keep Deshaun Watson clean at quarterback. It's a very good defensive front. They can get after the quarterback. We got to keep Watson clean. From a clean pocket, Watson 66% completions, couple of touchdowns, much more like the quarterback you expect. When under pressure so far, not good. 35% completions, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions, a quarterback rating of 23. So let's go ahead and keep him clean. That's going to be, I think, one of the real keys in this game for the Cleveland Browns offensively. I'd like to see David Njoku matched up. I don't care if Cam Curl's back. I'd like to see him matched up with those linebackers and Cam Curl. Their linebackers, Jamin Davis, 102 rating given up in coverage. David Mayo, 158.3. Cam Curl, 121. Those are the people that need to be attacked by David Njoku, so I think that's very, very important. And on the other side, you got to stop the run. That's something that we've got to do. We haven't done a good job about it. Brian Robinson has one 100-yard game on the year. That was Week 12. He had 105 against Atlanta, but he's averaging just 3.9 yards a carry for the season. Was held to 2.6 last week against the Niners, so shut him down and then go get after Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz, he will put the ball on the ground. He will get sacked. He will throw you the football. In his career against Cleveland, remember, he made his NFL debut against the Browns.
Oh, that's sure.
2016, won that game 29-10, 22 of 37, 278, 2 touchdowns, no picks.
How was that Monday, by the way?
That was not a fun one. Now, didn't RG3 get hurt? RG3 started and got hurt in that game.
Yeah.
Cam Irving snapped the ball over his head. We were giving up easy go touchdowns on like 3rd and 40. Well, then he comes here in 2020. Browns beat him 22-17. The difference, 5 sacks, 2 interceptions. That's going to be the key, obviously, there. And then limiting the big plays. Dotson, McLaurin, they are very explosive on offense for that team. McLaurin, 27 yards away from a new career high, going to his first Pro Bowl, finally getting some recognition. And then Dotson, kid that we both liked coming out of Penn State.
Loved him. Yep.
He's got 7 touchdowns, tying a franchise record for most receiving touchdowns by a rookie. And then Curtis Samuel's dangerous in his own right, and he's a guy that's probably very happy to see Carson Wentz back. With Wentz in 7 games, 5.3 receptions a game, 3 touchdowns. With Heineke in 9 games, 2.8 receptions a game, 1 touchdown. So this is an explosive team. We got to be about it, but turnovers are critical. Pressure on Wentz, no pressure on Watson. That's going to be important, and then taking care of business. Let's go.
Wentz has, as you're talking about Wentz, and we were talking about it with John Keim, his second year, the year that they win the Super Bowl, and he was at that point kind of through 13 games, he was in the MVP. He was 60% passer, 32.96 through 13 games, 33 touchdowns, 7 picks.
And he was running a little bit, I think,
he
too.
He did, yeah. He had 300 yards, 300 yards rushing.
On a touchdown, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe you have that correct. He had 300 yards rushing through 13 games that year. The next year he comes back, he plays 11 games. He's a 70% passer, 3,000 yards, 21 touchdowns, 7 picks, so 3-1. The next year, he's a 64% passer, 4,000 yards, 27 touchdowns, 7 picks. Like, it's still pretty good. And then the last year in Philly, it's not. It's 2,600 and 16 and 15.
Look at last year.
Last year in Indy,
yeah,
27 touchdowns, 7 picks, 3,600 yards, 63% passer.
Yeah. 27 touchdowns,
so
7
where's
picks.
The disconnect?
So
the disconnect is that he had 2 games to play at the end of the season to win and lost them both.
And is he a bad guy in the locker room?
Well, that's what everybody who, like, I've talked to Chris Long about this. He's like, loved him. Loved Carson.
He's a strange bird. He's got to be.
He's got to be.
He's got to be.
Because he's too good. His production, his statistical accumulation is too good, and the look of him and all of that, the size, all of it, for whatever reason, it's not all there.
He went, those numbers you gave, 62.4%, 3,563 yards, 27 touchdowns, 7 picks, 95 rating in Indy, and Jim Irsay was throwing parties when he was gone.
Get him out.
At the combine, they were just like, we can't wait to get rid of this Carson Wentz guy.
Yeah.
He's a bum.
So strange.
And he goes 2-4 to start the year this year. But, I mean, his numbers in 6 games, 63%, 1,612 yards, 11 touchdowns, 6 picks. I mean,
it's almost a mirror of Heineke's year, although Heineke played 2 more games.
Yeah, and Heineke's – it's interesting. They score 3 points a game more with Heineke, but they average 25 yards a game more passing with Wentz.
By the way, this John Keim just sent us a text. St. Just is considered questionable.
Yeah.
He is not officially out.
He said he was out, but I liked it when he
but
said
he
it.
said, I would think it's trending that way, but
I liked
wanted to
what I
clarify
took it right there. I liked what he said.
Yeah, very good. All right. Before we get to the most important segment of the entire show, OBM, the official printer partner of the Cleveland Browns. While you depend on your Browns to win, you can always depend on OBM. They'll tackle any size office. The number is 216-485-2000 or OhioBusinessMachines.com. The score is coming up next. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, coming soon to Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. When you're on the injured list, get a little help getting back in the game. 1-800-ELK-OHIO, free case review. Elk & Elk's a proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. And it is time for a little segment we like to refer to as The Scores. You must dear pay attention. It's sponsored by Buffalo Wild Wings. Score a free appetizer with $20 or more when you purchase, with your $20 or more purchase with the Browns. Get 2 or more sacks in a game during this season. Offer is available 1 hour after each qualifying game through 1 day after each qualifying game at participating Northeast Ohio locations. Dr. Z.
Just want to share something really fun here from Gibbe. So at the beginning of the year, we did some predictions and projections and whatnot. Gibbe's coach of the year, Josh McDaniels.
That sounds about right for me.
Not great. However, your hot seat, Cliff Kingsbury.
Got it.
I think you nailed that. You had Rule, who is gone already,
yep.
so you nailed that. And we both had Sirianni for coach of the year. Nailed that.
Nailed it. Who did you have hot seat?
McCarthy. And while you would think he should not be on the hot seat, did you listen last night? And they basically said if they don't win a playoff game or multiple playoff games, he's out and he's going to get Sean Payton.
Jarrah's got no time to waste. He's got no time.
Hasn't won anything since Jimmy.
No,
since
95.
Yeah.
With Barry Switzer,
and
Jimmy's operation, 95. And haven't been back.
No.
So, haven't even had a bite at the apple.
No.
And the NFC is
Tony
as
Romo
weak
couldn't win a playoff game.
as it's ever been.
He dropped the snap. Sad.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do it.
By the way, who do we have MVPs?
Herbert, Mahomes. You guys are looking pretty good there. Offensive player of the year, Justin Jefferson. That would have been, if I had the ability to put a few shuffles on that, that would have been pretty clairvoyant. Bill Chubb, Jamar Chase. Defensive player of the year, all 3 miles.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had division winners.
In order to get
right
that,
now,
you got to win. Your team has to go.
Division winners right now. We all had Kansas City correct. All had Cincinnati correct. All had Indy not correct. All had Buffalo correct. But we did have Jacksonville as surprises. I had a surprise on Jacksonville and Detroit. You had Jacksonville. You had Minnesota. Good job, Gibbe.
Yeah.
NFC, I had the Niners. You guys both had the Rams. Niners good.
Jeez.
North, Green Bay for everybody. They're not going to win the division, but Minnesota is.
That's pretty
they could get back into the playoffs.
Yeah.
South, Tampa Bay for everybody. Unbelievably up in the air, despite
stunningly so.
Nobody else is within 2 games of 500.
Right. We all had Philly.
East, we all had Philly.
So we did pretty good.
Yeah.
We're doing pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good.
It feels like it's reverted back to Mahomes.
Denver going into as an AFC wild card. Wrong. Unfortunately, the Browns is an AFC wild card. Wrong. I had Rams as a wild card, though, to be fair. Wrong. And we both had New Orleans as wild cards. Wrong. We had Minnesota, although New Orleans is, I guess, technically alive, right?
What the hell were we thinking there? We're thinking Winston and
good defense.
Yeah.
Talent.
Olave.
Yeah.
South
Thomas
is
back.
not good.
Landry.
Carolina was going to suck.
We assumed at some point Michael Thomas would actually play.
Played for 2 games. He wasn't bad.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah,
it's done.
Done.
Just a tease.
So whoever gets Sean Payton, though, they got to give something to New Orleans.
I believe that's right.
Because I thought I read something this week that he might return to New Orleans
with Tom Brady.
Yeah, that he might go back to the Saints.
Interesting.
I mean, it's a loaded roster.
Why
it's
is
ready-made?
Why is Tom Brady going to the Saints?
Why would Tom Brady want to go to the Saints?
Well,
New Orleans.
Mike Thomas, Olave, Kamara, good defense.
Count on Mike Thomas.
But I was going to say, is Mike Thomas going to play?
Dome. I mean, I get the idea why he would do it.
Unfortunately, Jarvis is pretty banged up.
Yeah.
Talking with Bobby Hebert on their pregame show.
Yeah.
Who is just
unfiltered.
That's a day, huh?
Blew my mind.
Yeah.
I told the guys, I said I want to get on and tell Bobby Hebert that he ruined my freshman year of college when Jeff George and June Jones got into a fight, and then Bobby Hebert took over as a starting quarterback for Atlanta. And they're like, "Do not say that. He'll talk for 30 minutes, and it'll ruin our entire rundown."
That's the whole operation.
Yeah. They're like, "Please don't." I was like, "Oh my god, okay." So I didn't know what to expect. So then I get on there, and he sounds like he is a raging Cajun. And I know that. Yeah. So apropos, sounds like he has had a great morning already and is just footloose and fancy free. At one point at the very end, we'd gone back and forth, and he had very strong opinions about all things Saints. Very few of them were positive.
Yep.
I just mentioned, I said, you guys have two of the guys that I really enjoyed covering and getting to know with the Browns. Demario Davis, your Walter Payton Man of the Year, who's so good. He finally got Pro Bowl recognition. That's awesome. And Jarvis Landry, who's a great guy, and I realize he's been banged up a little bit for you guys this year and whatever. And he's like, says some really nice things about Demario and how everybody's been sleeping on him and they're idiots. And then he goes, and when it's Jarvis, sorry, he's old. He's done. And I'm just like, what? I was like, what do you mean? I said, Jarvis, come on, he's back home. Like that would be like on our pregame show talking about one of our guys just being like they're old done. And done.
Yeah.
And so I defended Jarvis a little bit, and that was that.
There would be meetings, yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was hilarious.
That's
Bobby,
great.
I really wish I'd gotten to talk about the Jeff George thing.
He named his kid T-Bob.
Of course he did.
He hosts radio. He played for LSU. He hosts radio in Baton Rouge. Yeah.
We have 13 games to get through in 9 minutes.
Let's
go.
We
go, and we start with some pig slop. Arizona visiting
It just got
Atlanta.
worse. It just got worse. It's like a conspiracy. It just got worse. DeAndre, I mean, what an absolute debacle. Falcons by $1 billion. Cliff fired tomorrow.
Same.
On to the NFC South. Huge one. Carolina visiting Tampa Bay. Really, this is for the NFC South. Bishop.
Bucks.
Same, but different. It's going to take a Ryan suck-up field goal. Brady's going to be non-existent all game. They're going to be down 2. And he's going to get the ball, and he's going to drive it down the field, and Suckup's going to make like a 57-yarder to bail them out, send them to the playoffs after a valiant effort from the Carolina Panthers. 21-20 Bucks.
Can the Bears ruin the Lions' playoff chances? Bears visiting Detroit. Zagura.
I'm interested to see, like after what happened last week with Detroit, right?
Weird, and they were run all over
like
by Carolina.
300
so Montgomery,
yards.
Fields, I think they have a Fields day, but, man, it's not enough, man. Lions get the job done 25-20.
Same.
On to the AFC West we go.
Chiefs billion.
Same.
Kansas City?
The same.
Yeah,
Although new coach.
Yeah.
Do they get the new coach bump for a week?
Who's quarterbacking them?
Is it Rippin?
Rippin and no.
They blew a 27-point lead last time. Actually, Russ is probably quarterbacking.
Is he back in the mix?
I think he's back.
Yeah, they still suck.
They do.
The Indianapolis Colts, 4-10-1 on the football season, visiting the New York Football Giants. Giants in a pretty comfortable place right now for a playoff spot. A win would help. Bishop.
What has Indy what have they been?
I become trash.
Trash, right? They get hammered all the time.
Well, they had the big lead over the Vikings that they lost, and then
then they got drilled by the Chargers. They lost 54-19 to the Cowboys. Oh my God. I'll go G-Men by a tutty.
Same. I mean, for the Giants to be favored by 5.5, and Vegas hates the Giants.
Hate them.
They really hate Indy.
Big one in the AFC South. Maybe not. Maybe it is. I don't really know. Jacksonville is 7-8 on the football season. They visit the Houston Texans. Zagura, Houston getting their second win of the year last week.
Yeah, this one doesn't matter to them, they being the Jags.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they want to have some momentum and make a little bit of a statement. They are definitely the better team. Jags 27, Texans 20.
Yeah, I like where your head's at on that. I got that one as well.
All right. To the AFC East. This is a big one and a lot at stake as the Miami Dolphins, who have lost 4 in a row, visit the New England Patriots. They've lost 2 in a row. A lot of playoff posturing at stake, playoff berth potentially at stake for Miami. Bishop.
I like Miami bouncing back. I know they've got 3 in a row now, or is it 4? 4 in a row. Really struggled of late. The way that the Patriots have played, the absolute collapse against the Raiders, and then the weird Mac Jones play where he's taking out Eli Apple's knee, just doesn't feel right to me with them at all. Bill O'Brien's coming back. I like the Dolphins getting a win.
What is Bill O'Brien doing?
Going to coordinate the offense.
Wait, what?
Yeah, it's all the rumors all week that O'Brien's going to come back and coordinate the offense. He's at Alabama now as an analyst.
Next year?
Yeah.
Well, he should. It couldn't be any
Oh,
worse
yeah.
than
Oh,
what it
yeah,
currently
it's better
is.
than Matt Patricia.
Yeah. I like the Dolphins by 4.
Theodore, come on. It's going to be a blast. I'm with you.
Yeah.
Nolans visiting Philly. Philly quarterback situation as of an hour ago. Still sorting through who will start in Philly on Sunday.
Don't care.
I
Eagles
don't
by
either.
$1 billion.
It doesn't matter. Either one. Minshew Mania. Did you guys see the stuff that maybe Tua's a retire situation this week
Yeah.
with all the concussion stuff?
Yeah.
Not ideal.
Brutal.
No, not ideal.
The New York Football Jets, 7-8 on the season. Their playoff lives at stake. Same with the Seattle Super Seahawks. Seahawks hosting the Jets. Segura.
Seahawks very much in it. Jets in it. This is a wild one, but I think Seattle finds a way to get it done. Home dog, lively, not by much. I know they like Mike White, but it feels like the Jets are not going in the right direction, and it's not all Zach Wilson. Seattle, 12. Jets, 10.
Yeah, I'm in a similar vein. I like the Birds as well. I like Seattle getting it done at home, keeping hope alive one more week. Feels like the Jets, whatever they had a month ago, they've lost it. Like they had to go back to Wilson, and maybe that upset the apple cart. I like Seattle as well.
Up next, the 49ers on the road, 4-3, winners of 8 straight, 11-4 overall, heading to Las Vegas.
Juggernaut.
The 6-9 Raiders, dysfunctional with a capital D. Bishop.
I tried to think what the number would be that would make me not take them at Vegas. Like 14, no, 13.5, 12.5. It's not big enough.
Is it?
They cover every
the
week.
Brock Purdy
Every week.
factor?
It doesn't matter. It's Kyle.
First
he does
guy,
what he wants.
Purdy, first guy since Kurt Warner to have multiple touchdown passes in his first 3 starts.
This is the last 6-7 point differentials. They beat the Cardinals by 28, the Saints by 13, the Dolphins by 16, the Bucks by 28, Seahawks by 8, Commies by 17.
Yeah, feels good.
He is the one true genius, offensive genius in football. That dude.
He's a gangster. The guy put him on the hot seat. You remember that?
I did. I do remember him putting him on a hot seat.
Never know. You're always one step away in my book.
Niners. Big.
Nerd. Niners. Huge.
The battle for Los Angeles is next, and the Chargers, winners of 3 in a row, now 9-6, headed to the playoffs. They're the home team. I'm not sure
Who
what
is
you
the
get here
home
from
team
an
there?
audience standpoint.
You know what?
The
I bet
Rams
there's
coming.
people jumping all over that Chargers bandwagon in L.A.
Last
year they were in
the
Rams.
This year the Chargers.
Hey, it's a different shade of blue.
Woo!
Better
What difference does
blue.
it make? They're both great. A true royal blue and a baby blue. That's as good as it gets.
Is it a girl?
Listen, I saw what the Rams did to the Denver Broncos. These aren't the Denver Broncos. The Chargers don't really crush people very often,
weird,
though.
right?
It's weird. They let people hang around a little bit, but not this time. Herbert getting into playoff shape. He's ready to go. Rams, the momentum does not carry over. Chargers by 80.
Yeah, I had it that way as well. I like the San Diego Superchargers bigly.
Up next, the NFC North. The Packers' playoff hopes rest on having to win out and get a little help. The Packers playing host to the Minnesota Vikings. Paul Allen and company going to Lambeau Field. Bishop.
I just want to double check this. Okay. I like Green Bay winning 30-27. 30-27.
This is one where, like, I can't choose the wine in front of me.
Why could you? Yeah.
And I won't choose the wine in front of you, so I'm going, we're far enough away from the ayahuasca. Watson, by the way, call him Willis Reed. They say if he's ready to go, he's going to go. And they think he's going to go.
Go,
Watson,
Pack, go.
800 yards, 7 touchdowns. Packers win.
You'll need every one of those points,
Big,
too.
By the way,
big, by the way.
huge.
Did you go big?
Oh, yeah, huge.
Big, huge.
Yeah, by more than 4.
Yep.
How about Jair Alexander saying what Justin Jefferson did to him was a fluke in week 1? Why would you say that?
Why would you say
want
that?
to go down that road?
Why deal with that? Yeah.
He's really good.
Silly. Yeah, it was very good. Yeah.
Yeah. Finally, Sunday night foosball, and it's a big one in the AFC North.
Ugh.
The Pukers are
Gross.
still alive, 7-8. They visit
course they are.
Baltimore and the Ratbirds. Ratbirds 10-5. Bishop.
I hate it, but I think Pittsburgh's going to win.
I know.
I hate it, but I think
Maybe
they're
we'll
going to
see you next Saturday.
I'm saying the same thing because that way if it happens, I'm right on the scores. And then if it doesn't happen, I don't care about the scores. Sorry. I'll just be happy that we're not playing on Saturday.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm
That's
dialing up the reverse jinx. You're welcome, Ravens.
All right, we'll get predictions for our game coming up next. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, coming soon to Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. I think Michigan beats TCU.
Yep.
Closer than the experts think, maybe
Yep.
by a field goal or 4. And I think Georgia and Ohio State's a fourth quarter game with the Dogs winning 34-31, 31.
But hey, if it's that close, anything
good
can
game.
happen.
Good game. Yeah. Yeah.
Will
Ohio
you make
State
it
will
to
be
the,
the best.
Will you make it to the end?
I have to. I got to do 3 things at the end of the damn thing. I want to be able to keep my eyes open.
Yeah.
You know what helps there? Jameson.
No. That's the
Asleep.
wrong direction. Yeah.
Beg to differ.
What helps is, you know what's going to help? This is where Buddy Garrity can come in big. Run around being like, hey, let's go outside, get some little fresh air.
It's his sleep time. Buddy Garrity's sleep time's at that point. He's out. It's a wrap.
Garrity, sad.
Us and commies.
Go get the damn win. Let's
Us. Let's go. End their
Let's
season.
handle it. It's enough of it, right?
Right.
All right. God willing, that's the case. Should be a beautiful day. I just like to see Watson spin it a little bit. Let's just have a little.
Let him throw it.
Little good operation.
Yeah.
No CBD until Tuesday. Have a safe and happy New Year, kids, and go Brownies. The next level is coming up next. Thanks for